It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Keatsman in for the hour, leading you up to the Vince Show and everything going on in Washington, D.C. He'll have it as it happens. Great show by Mundo in the morning today. It was awesome chatting with Pete again for the first time in several weeks. Good to be with you, and I'm wishing you just a great weekend. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. Let's go get it, man. Enjoy that time off, however it is that you do it. We've got a full show today, including why the Chiefs are so coveted. We'll talk about that because we're sort of lost in the shuffle over this Chiefs thing, is why they are so coveted and why this has been such a big story. The Royals to Washington Square Park. There's a lot of people in Kansas City, Missouri now talking about the possibility of the Royals being near Crown Center or Union Station, however you want to decide it. And Josh Hawley is in hot water with President Trump. Trump saying he should never be elected to office again. We explain why and dive into something that Pete turned me on to several months ago. I've had a man crush on Josh Hawley for many years now. And Pete's been talking about some of these weird things that Hawley's been branching off into that seem to be, I guess, populist, but they seem leftist to me at times. And I was completely unaware until I heard Pete talking about it, and I've studied it more and watched it more. And now he's done something that he's never getting back. He's never, ever getting support from Donald Trump again. Not after this one. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. But we start with what everybody is talking about, and that is Renee Nicole Good, who was from Kansas City previously, lived in Waldo. We know she died committing crimes in Minneapolis a couple of days ago at the hands of an ICE agent who, according to Vice President J.D. Vance, was hit by a car, dragged by a car, and needed medical attention, 33 stitches, several months ago. This was not his first run-in with some crazy person trying to run him over as an ICE agent. He'd had experience in this because he's been hit by a car before. There is no doubt at this point that he was hit by this driver. Okay? This is going to be any fair-minded jury, if there is a case, and I don't know that there will be, and it won't matter because Trump's going to pardon him anyway. Any fair-minded person can see that this ICE agent executing his lawful legal job was hit by this crazy woman who was, we can have the discussion about what she was doing, whether she was panicking, whether she, I mean, at first blush, we watch these people who do this stuff, apparently for a living or for fun, or, you know, some people go to football games and enjoy watching sports. These crazy people like going and doing this stuff and trying to stop ICE agents. It's against the law, but hey, if that's their passion, their fun time, their downtime, well, we got crazy people among us. I mean, I would guess by watching how these people interact with ICE agents that most of them really are not there to hurt the ICE agents. They're there to hassle them in however they can, in whatever way they can. I don't think she wanted to kill that officer. If she wanted to kill, it's the same thing. He didn't want to kill her. It's the same thing. She didn't want to kill him. But in that moment, she panicked. He was in the way. Her car was turned toward him, and she certainly didn't mind hitting him because she did. She intentionally hit him with her car. But we're learning a lot more now about her and what happened after she moved from Kansas City. Of course, we're getting all these liberal stories. Oh, she was a peaceful girl, and we all liked her, and we exchanged. Oh, I love this story. We exchanged Christmas cookies. We were her neighbor. Okay, whatever. Crazy people eat cookies, too. I get it. She was part of a group called Minnesota Ice Watch that has 32,000 followers on social media, most of them obviously in Minnesota. And what they would do, and they're doing this in Kansas City as well, there are many groups. I had some politicians send me some stuff yesterday about groups in Kansas City that do the same thing, boots on the ground, boots, whatever. They all have different names. This was called Minnesota Ice Watch, where they were having clinics, basically, meetings, open to the public, anyone wants to come, and we will teach you how to jack with ice. That's it. That was her goal. She was part of that. So was her wife. She is remembered as an anti-ICE, quote, warrior, according to the New York Post, who did a profile on Renee Good. And one of the people that knew her said, quote, she died doing what was right. She was doing everything right, unquote. So even the crazy people in her crazy little world believe she was doing what was right and that her death basically makes her a martyr. She was doing what needs to be done in America, and that is apparently overthrow the government, not by changing the laws, but by interacting with the people in charge, not protesting, actually stopping them from doing the job that the law says they can do. None of this gets discussed in most of the mainstream media. They never talk about whether this is legal or not, what the laws are in this country. America's decided on these laws. We like ICE. We want closed borders. We want peace. We like police officers. We want real justice for criminals. A huge majority of Americans follow all of the laws and all of the rules. Sometimes we unintentionally may break them. You can get a speeding ticket. Fair-minded, honest people can have car tags expire or park in a place that they're not supposed to park. They may commit small crimes. Things can happen to good people. That happens. I get it. But for the most part, all we want to do is be a nation of laws and live our own life. But what she was doing was really no different than, I hearken back to high school. We had jocks, we had freaks, we had theater people. There now are robotics clubs. There's ROTC. You join and gather with what you like. Human beings have a very distinct instinct, and that is to be around other like-minded people, whatever that may be. There are chess clubs. There are people that play poker. I know dudes that play poker every Thursday night for 30 years, okay? So we all join things that we like. I love to play golf. I meet somebody else that plays golf, and I've got something in common with them right away, and I can bond with them very quickly. It's the same thing with broadcasters. I meet somebody that's in broadcasting. Immediately we have a bond. We understand like-minded people. This woman was in Minnesota Ice Watch. Their stated goal was to go out and hassle ICE. If nothing else, and maybe they teach, doing this peacefully, stand on the corner, don't throw snowballs, just chant at them, make your sign, do whatever. Maybe that's what they teach. I don't know what they teach in there. My guess is that's what they say they teach. The girl's 6-year-old boy was in a charter school, and apparently still is, the Southside Family Charter School, which, according to the website, is unabashedly dedicated to social justice education. Folks, these ladies lived in a neighborhood that is dedicated to George Floyd. This all goes back to George Floyd. I'm going to ask a very serious question. Where are the black protesters? I haven't seen one yet. I don't see the same protesters for George Floyd out there protesting ICE. I don't. What I see is a bunch of white people. White people that we look at and go, okay, we know that person. We all have people like this in our life. Okay, we know who they are. And we're like, yeah, that's not George Floyd. But the neighborhood she lived in is row houses up and down the neighborhood that have pride flags and George Floyd monuments. That's it. It's an activist neighborhood about a mile from where this happened. They didn't live very far away. Their kid is in the Southside Family Charter School, unabashedly dedicated to social justice education. This is a way of life. This is no different than joining a church. This is no different than, no different than being part of a bridge club or a country club or anything like that. It was an entire area of Minneapolis dedicated to one thing, and that is getting Donald Trump. We don't like they don't care. ICE is just what's current. This woman died. She has 3 children. She died, what? Trying to stop ICE from investigating Somalis who have ripped off billions of dollars from American taxpayers. White-collar crime. Somalis, because something in her brain is saying, those Somalis have dark skin, and I've got white privilege, and I've got to go do this. They're interviewing women on the street they're in tears, and they're like, one woman said, I feel guilty that I'm here in tears and so upset about her death because I'm white and I have white privilege, and I shouldn't be, this happens to brown and black people all the time. I shouldn't be mourning her. Like, you're white and you feel guilty mourning a white person because what you really want to do is mourn a black or a brown person. I can't wrap my head around this stuff. This is way too complicated. I went to college. I thought algebra was hard. Okay? I thought economics was a hard class. I tried to learn Spanish and failed. I was no good at it. It was really hard. I just wasn't any good at it. But this, I can tackle all those classes right now. I can't get my head around what this is. White people guilty, crying for another white person, and all you're thinking about and feeling is the guilt that you have because you're mourning a white person dying when, it's the black and brown people I should be mourning for. No, there's no figuring these people out. She was as hardened as they get, and I will state this. This is all going to get resolved. There's not going to be any trouble for this officer, okay? He was hit by that car, period. Any jury of peers would look at this and go, oh, God, he got hit by that car. Okay, and we know it. Here's the law, and here's what happened. And yes, okay, fair-minded people. That's it. That's the end. But what they are doing in Minneapolis and continuing to do, and Jacob Fry in his news conferences today, he's out there, they're stoking more. They want more. I think they've realized in about 48 hours here that their martyr is not the martyr they need. They need something better than this. They need something more innocent than her. She's not innocent. She's guilty. She committed various crimes. And she got shot running over a police officer. I'm serious. He's lucky to be alive. And he'd previously been dragged by a car, had 33 stitches, and hurt last year in a very similar situation where he did not discharge his weapon. And I'll bet after that happened, he said, if this ever happens again, I'm shooting. And he did. Renee Good is not a martyr. She is not a hero. She is not to be idolized or adored. It's ridiculous. If you want to join the conversation, give me a shout. 913-408-7957. Love to take your phone calls today. 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. Well, a lot of you want to chime in on this one, man. This is a story that everybody is talking about. Former Kansas City resident Renee Good killed in Minneapolis, committing crimes. She was committing various crimes, many crimes, and was shot by an ICE agent. And everybody wants to chat about this, and I love hearing your thoughts. We'll start with Randy in Napoleon today on Uncanceled. Good morning, Randy. How are you?
Good morning. I'll go fast. I got 2 points. Number 1 point, the officer that shot into the car had a partner that had his arms in the car. So he not only was protecting himself, but when that officer committed himself to be inside the window of that vehicle, he had an obligation to not just protect him, but protect his partner. The second thing is, too, I think that the mayor and the governor ought to be – there's sins of commission and sins of omission. They're operating in a sin of omission right now criminally by not having police officers at the local level, county level, and state level obligated to keeping the civil order within that thing. They've abrogated their office. And I think they ought to be charged criminally for omission of restraining officers from keeping the civility with the civilians while they do the immigration. That's my point.
Excellent call, Randy. You're exactly right. The people in the left in Minneapolis want this to happen. They want chaos with ICE and federal agents. That's what they want. That's why they have classes. That's why there is a Minnesota ICE Watch group. They're all trying to set a trap where a federal agent does something bad or stupid and they can stop this. That's all they want. It's craziness. It's insanity. And they're doing it for Somalis. This is not the open border, we're finding illegal aliens. They sent extra people in, 2,000 extra people to Minneapolis to investigate and go to all these Somali places that were stealing money from all of us. They're doing the people's work. They stole my money. They stole your money. It's fraud. They're there, sifting through it, hopefully prosecuting these people, locking them up or sending them home or whatever they got to do. And all these white women want to stop it. Mike is in KCK. Good morning, Mike. How are you? Hey, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah.
Mike, are you there? Let's put him on hold and go to the next one.
White people are going to be going to jail when it comes out that they were. Okay.
Go ahead, sir. Turn your radio down. Go ahead.
Yeah. It is down. I'm saying how many white people are going to end up going to jail, white politicians who are complicit and collaborating with the white.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the call. It's a little murky there, as everybody could hear. I think his point was a bunch of white politicians are going to go to jail over all this. I hope you're right, but so far, if you have a complaint of the first year of the Trump presidency, they're not very good at prosecuting people. They're not. They're very good at finding things that are wrong, pointing them out, showing evidence, but they're not good about doing anything about it, near as I can tell. Wes is in Gladstone. Hi, Wes. How are you today, buddy?
Hey, good, man. Yeah, that last point you made, that sure is disappointing. But how come there's no Somalis out there protesting?
Right.
When they show the protesters, shouldn't you see a sea of hijabs? I mean, they should be all over this. Now, as far as what good did, okay, most people are like, well, what did she do? Okay, you're driving along 435. And you see a cop's got somebody stopped on the shoulder, so you decide this is an injustice. So you pull up right next to the cop's car so he can't get out. Guess what? You've done the same thing as she did, okay? Now, I feel sorry for her because she obviously had a hole in her soul. She was adrift, man. She was looking for something, and these people that are pushing this hatred of the federal government latched onto that, filled her with that hate. So she decides, I've got to do something. This is my time where I can really go out and do something and feel really good about myself, right? She gets in that situation, and she freaks out, and she panics, and she got shot. And that's the end of the story.
Her world got real. It was a game to her until it got real, and then she panicked. I agree with you.
It got as real as it could be with guys with their guns drawn, and she just freaked out, and she was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it was another FAFO moment, baby. No I feel sorry for her.
I do too. Thank you, Wes. Appreciate the call, as always. Walter is in Spring Hill this morning. Hi, Walter. How are you?
Morning, Kevin. Bottom line is you were saying that there's no black protesters out there, and the reason why is because the lady that got shot was white. If you remember when BLM was all protesting, it only mattered if the black person was shot by a white cop, but they weren't protesting when you had hundreds of shootings around the country with black-on-black violence. And it's one of these things where you've got this hatred towards cops. When you don't do what you're supposed to do and you don't follow commands, you're going to get in trouble. And especially if you use a weapon or use your vehicle as a weapon. I'm a black man, and I've been stopped several times over the years by cops for speeding tickets, but I haven't got shot because if they tell me to stop or put my hands on the steering wheel, you comply.
Right. Yes. It's a pretty simple concept, isn't it?
Yeah. You comply and you stay alive.
That's right. Good call, buddy. Thank you, Walter. Appreciate you listening today. That's exactly right. And it's amazing because literally at this school where her kid goes, the Southside Family Charter School, they have a George Floyd curriculum for grade schoolers. They teach it to them when they're tiny little kids. This is a church, basically, of indoctrination. It's just insane. And she messed around one too many times. I mentioned at the top of the show a couple of other items that I want to briefly mention here before we go to the phones. One is Josh Hawley is in the crosshairs of Donald Trump, and this comes on the heels of a group of 5 Republicans who voted along with Tim Kaine and a bill that it's not even a bill, okay? So the senators behind Tim Kaine's War Powers Resolution Act 5 Republican senators voted along with him, and it basically says Trump can't go into Venezuela again with any military action without congressional approval. I don't know what Josh Hawley's doing. I don't. This doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like the hill to die on. But Trump has said he should never be elected to office again. So Josh Hawley is out of the MAGA movement. If you're keeping score near home, Josh Hawley is not MAGA. Okay, that's a big one. The other thing, everybody's talking about the Chiefs moving to Kansas and why this has been such a big story here. They're the biggest thing in America. We mentioned last week 95 of the top 100 television shows of 2025 were football games. Most of those were NFL games, but a couple of them were college. The Chiefs set a record for the most watched regular season game ever on Thanksgiving Day. They played the Cowboys. 57.3 million people watched. We don't know how big the Chiefs are because we all live in Kansas City and we've had the Chiefs our whole life. They're so big, you can't calculate how big they are. They're the number one entertainment product in the United States of America, which makes the Kansas City Chiefs the number one entertainment product in the number one country in the world. CBS Television is the number one network on TV because they have the most Chiefs games. Jim Nantz and Tony Romo called 6 games in a row at one point this year. They were simply riding the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are a massive deal. And sometimes I think we don't know that because we've been so close to them our whole lives. We see them as the same they've always been, just better, winning more, parades, championships, all that stuff. But I don't think we fully comprehend how big they are, how valuable they are. They're way more valuable than a $4 billion stadium. The Chiefs are the number one entertainment in America. That's it. Bottom line. Let's go to the phones. The ladies are in the queue today. I like this. We'll start with Barb in Lawrence. Good morning, Barb. How are you today? Welcome to Uncanceled.
Good morning. Yeah, great. All the people feeling sorry for poor Nicole. She was a trained domestic terrorist who'd been to Canada with her lesbian wife recently. They're getting training on how to do this. And her wife, who jumped out of the car, was trying to film the incident as she was getting shot. So they were trying to provoke this and get it on camera. If you notice, all these demonstrators have their cell phones up, and they're using their cars as a weapon, and they want to provoke an ICE agent to shoot them. That's what they're about, because they want to get them out of the city, and the mayor wants to investigate him, and they've already doxxed this poor guy who shot poor Nicole, and so his life is over. And these people are doing this on purpose, and people got to wake up to this. These are terrorists. They are domestic terrorists. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much for the call. You're exactly right. We talked about it yesterday. The wife was filming all of this. CNN released a video last night, Anderson Cooper. It's 4 minutes long. They had a great piece of video that nobody else had, and they're like, okay, we're going to show this. And it was the most disingenuous report you've ever seen. At one point, Anderson Cooper says, a person gets out of the car. We're not sure who or why. Well, yeah, that's the wife, and she's filming this. They're literally making a movie. That's what they were doing. They were trying to be online journalists. We're going to video this. It's going to go viral. It's going to be awesome. Something weird is going to happen. Well, it did, and it went viral. Anderson Cooper, you know exactly who it was that got out of the car. Then a little bit later, the whole video shows her doing bad things for 4 minutes. The lead up, the reason they went for her is the lead up. She was leading other cars in a blockade. She was the lead car in a blockade of cars messing with ICE. And then she stopped. She straightened up in the middle of the street, and they came after her. There were several agents. You can see all this. And then Anderson Cooper says, well, the video's a little grainy. Like he's trying to he's trying to downgrade what you're seeing on CNN and saying, well, it's a little grainy. It's hard to see. It's through. No, it wasn't. What you showed, we saw, and you're trying. They made you run the video, Anderson, and it made her look bad, and you're sitting there with an open microphone trying to say, well, it's hard to see what's going on, and we don't know why this person got out of the car or who they are. Lies, lies, lies. It's what they do. Denise is in Leavenworth. Good morning, Denise. What's going on in your world?
So, you said something that just resonated with me, that she thought this was like a game.
Yeah.
And I think about the generation that's grown up on video games. And wondering if that's a thing,
Well, the device in the palm of your hand is not always the real world, I think is kind of what you're going for. And one of the things they see is people getting very famous with millions of views, finding fraud, doing this, outing that, shooting something sensational. Clearly, that's what these women were going for. There are witnesses that said the wife that survived, that was filming all this, was on the curb after her wife had died, and she was crying, and she said, "It's all my fault. I talked her into doing this." I'm telling you, what's on that woman's phone is going to be the most damning and incriminating evidence you've ever seen. They've got both cell phones. The FBI has them. They're going to have, in the next week or two, we're going to see a news conference where they put evidence out that will keep this from being any kind of a lawsuit. This thing's going to be cut and dried. They're going to dice that phone up and everything she shot all day long, what they talked about, the text messages that they exchanged. You won't believe what comes out of these two women's phones. Trust me, it's coming, and it's going to be damning. Good call. Thank you. I appreciate that. Next up is Mike in Olathe on Uncanceled. Hi, Mike.
Hey, man, good morning, Mr. Keatsman. And the women calls are great. Those are awesome. And your point just now, and then even at the bottom of the hour, dude, I'm telling you what, the audacity of this mayor and Waltz for basically coming out and insisting that they be involved in the investigation, when if they would have had their people supporting ICE, this probably never would have happened, and there would have been more people there to basically protect everyone that was there. But because they chose, this is the irony of it, they choose to not support their fellow officers and get this done quicker so they can get out of town, they now are having to be what Democrats always are. Hands up, don't shoot. The police acted stupidly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a pattern. And these folks now that are doing this have grown up since 2009 when the country became divided. And now we're seeing the end result of it 20 years later. It's very evident, but what you're saying and all the evidence, it's crazy because now they're all of a sudden railing against they're accusing the cop of doing something that we obviously saw did not happen. That it's audacious.
Yeah, their game is immediately cry foul in the first 24 or 48 hours after something happens. Get it in people's minds that that's fact. It doesn't matter whether they're right or wrong. Their voters don't care. They don't care. Politically, it's good for them to do this because it's never been about being right or factual. Or it's just not. That's not what Democrats do. It's never that way with them. It's just about throw the paint on the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, and eventually you get a guy like Common who does a hands up, don't shoot song at an award show because that was the narrative initially, even though Eric Holder found that that's not what happened. I don't mean to go back in time, but it's an example of exactly what they do. Great point.
Thank you. Good call, buddy. No, they're all the same. George Floyd died of a drug overdose. It's in the coroner's report. And he was going to die either way. It says very, very plainly, there's no question George Floyd was dying that day. He overdosed on drugs. That's why he was freaking out and had to be subdued. He was going crazy. He was harming himself. He was so hepped up on stuff. No, it's the same thing. The Michael Brown thing in St. Louis, hands up, don't shoot. It's one after another after another. It's the same thing. And you know what? People aren't buying it anymore. I think we're getting better at stepping back and people are looking at the facts and watching the video and they see this for themselves. Paul in Kansas City is next. Hi, Paul. What's up?
Hey, Kevin. Yeah, my point is these so-called law enforcement professionals on CNN and MSN now are biased. And here's the reason I say that. If you watch the video, I couldn't figure out why he pulled his weapon system out of his tactical holster before the vehicle moved. And then I look to the left, I see this officer slip on the ice. Well, what she did was she accelerated that Honda Pilot front-wheel drive. He hears the engine rev. That's why he clears the weapon out of his holster. And you see the exhaust, a big plume coming out of her exhaust. She accelerates. There's no friction. She gets no traction. He pulls his weapon system. That's why she jumps out. And Greg Kelly on Newsmax pointed it out. And I said, yeah, there it is right there. So they're just not being truthful. They're not being truthful at all.
Yeah, no doubt. He pulls his weapon out while her wheels are spinning and she's going nowhere.
Yes. Yes, he hears the engine rev.
Yeah.
That's why he clears the weapon system out of
his
tactical holster. Yes,
for
sir.
sure. And in the video they showed on CNN last night, it's a wide shot from a Ring doorbell from across the street. There's like 5 officers around this car. It was a dangerous situation. He wasn't the only one. The one video that's famous now, you see the guy with his arms in the car, and then you see the officer that did the shooting. There are 3 others around this car. This thing could have gone any which way. It was icy. It was a mess. And the officer who fired the shots had already been hit by a car last year. It's insane.
Yes.
They said over 100 ICE officers have been hit by vehicles.
Yes, sir. If he's placed in front of the vehicle, he becomes a traffic control device. He's telling her,
that's right,
by his body, do not move this vehicle. She disregards that traffic control device, accelerates, the wheels spin, he hears the engine rev, clears the weapon system. Yeah, it's game over.
You're right.
It's game over.
Dead on.
Yes,
good
sir.
call, buddy.
Thank
you.
brother.
I appreciate that. Spot on. Let's go to John in Topeka on KCMO Talk Radio. Hi, John.
Good morning, Kevin. The moral of the story is be nice to ICE or you'll pay the price.
We should make T-shirts.
Yes. They say hands up, don't shoot. I say, well, rob a store, attack a cop every day, you'll get shot. So anyhow, that's.
Well, I don't know how many thousands of people we have listening right now. It's a big audience. I love that. I'm going to stick my neck out and say not a single person listening to this show right now has ever awakened on a day and said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get in my car and go jack with law enforcement today. I'm going to stop them from doing their job. That's what I'm going to drop my kids off at school. Then I'm going to go jack around with federal agents. This is fun. Let's go do it. I don't think one person listening has ever done that.
Well, not many people think, hey, what am I going to do today that's going to be the dumbest thing I've ever done in my entire life that's going to cost me my life when I do something really stupid because I'm in a stupid spot doing stupid things for people who are not supposed to be here in the first place, and I'm breaking the law for people who have broken the law. So, no, normal people say that's a bad idea.
Exactly right. You're spot on. Thank you, John, as always, in Topeka, for your call. Good stuff. No, she was in the wrong place doing the wrong thing. And clearly, here's what we don't know. Has anybody reported on why she left Kansas City and moved to Minnesota and rented or bought a house in the George Floyd area in a neighborhood filled with pride flags, LGBTQ stickers on windows, and George Floyd monuments? That's where she went. Like,
they moved to Canada first, Kevin.
Yeah, right. Yes, I know.
And then back.
And then back. And it's like a church, okay? A church of bad is what it is. I mean, I don't want to use the word cult, but I don't know the comp for this. You worship at the George Floyd Temple? That's what it's about? I got to go to Minneapolis. This is my Mecca. I got to bow to Minneapolis because this is where it all began. I don't understand. I know people say it. It doesn't seem to register. We say it so often, but that's a mental illness, man. There's something really, really wrong with you if that's what you're doing. And these, again, they're all white people on this one. Out doing whatever for Somalians who stole their money. You can talk about your white privilege, but the Somalis stole your white privilege dollars. They stole. It's fraudulent, and it's not just Minneapolis. You're risking your life messing with federal agents because of Somalis who have stolen your tax dollars. Wow. I'm telling you, human beings, we're all diverse. We're all different. We all have different passions. We have different things that we like. The worst of us, the craziest of us, I can't even wrap my head around how you get to a place in your life where that's the most important thing for you. I'm going to get my kid to school, then I'm going to get my SUV, and my wife's going to film this, and I'm going to mess with these ICE agents. What in the world? Man, has this story been totally hijacked by the media. This lady was loco. And I don't care if she shared cookies with her neighbors in Waldo at Christmas time, and they thought she was a sweet lady. She had screws loose. She was nutty, and she paid a hefty price. All right, if you want to join us, 913-408-7957. We come back, we'll talk with Mark just a smidge about the NFL playoffs this weekend. The big game last night in college football was incredible. We'll do that and more next on KCMO. Council members Andrea Boo and Kevin O'Neill in Kansas City are optimistic that the Royals are moving to Union Station with a brand new stadium. They call the Overland Park in Kansas offer, quote, disastrous. Interesting. I'm not ruling anything out. I'm not telling you I know what's going to happen. I've said from the start, Kansas is the leader in the clubhouse because the offer that's on the table, what is the offer at Union Station? They're saying they can go to Union Station with no vote. How does that work exactly? I got more questions than answers. on Washington Square Park. I'm not ruling out Clay County. I still think that's a great site. I know the Clay County people have said we're not discussing it, but the state of Missouri has some options. If they want to keep the Royals, they have options to do this without a vote. They have options in Jefferson City. But at the same time, you've got people like Nick Schroer in the Missouri Senate, who now is introducing in the House or in the Senate for the St. Louis Battlehawks to be the official football team of the state of Missouri, not the Chiefs.
That's
the St. Louis Battlehawks. Mark Van Sickle, let me ask you this. What conference is Missouri in?
What conference?
Yeah, the University of Missouri. What conference are they?
Yeah. SEC.
In what? It just means what?
More.
Why are they not the official football team of the state of Missouri?
That's a good point.
The St. Louis Battlehawks? If you're pissed at the Chiefs, come on, at least make Ole Mizzou your official team.
Yeah, that's so lame.
It's incredibly lame. I think it's funny when politicians get involved in things they know nothing about.
I assume that guy's from St. Louis, right?
I assume he wants the St. Louis Battlehawks to be the official football team of the state of Missouri. Wow, what a game last night, Mark, in the college football playoff. Miami wins it 31-27. I don't like Miami. I haven't liked them forever. It goes back to the days of them being thugs. And Miami's never been likable to me. Ole Miss was a pretty good story because their coach left, and they have a new head coach in the middle of the season. I liked that story. This game kind of turned into a shootout. That was one great football game, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was crazy. It looked like it was going to be a lot of unders in that game, and then all of a sudden, the fourth quarter, everything went over. It was all awesome, though.
Miami will play in their home stadium for the national title against Oregon or Indiana. Who will it be, Oregon or Indiana? That's tonight's game.
I'm going to say Oregon gets the upset tonight in a revenge game because they lost 30-20 to Indiana earlier in the season. I think they get revenge and get the win tonight.
And we've watched Indiana. Is it the best coached team you've ever seen?
They are very well coached.
Holy smokes, they are well coached. So Miami's playing at home. The team in the National Football League that could play at home in the Super Bowl is the San Francisco 49ers, but I don't think they have the chops to do that. The NFL playoffs start this weekend. Who you like this weekend, Mark?
Oh, man. I mean, I guess if I have to pick one team, the Rams are probably the team where I would say they're going to win. Everything else is kind of a toss-up to me, honestly.
It's really a wide-open postseason without the Chiefs in it, as sad as that is to say. If the Chiefs were if they were just a wild card going on the road this week, people would be saying the Chiefs are the favorite to make the Super Bowl, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Bills are a favorite, and they're the 6th seed. I guess the Chargers are underdogs at the Patriots. But every other game, I feel like, it could be either way.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a really, really, really interesting postseason. I can't wait to watch. College basketball's in full swing. We're just a few weeks away from the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City at the end of the year. It really is a very good sports time. The Royals are getting ready to go to spring training in a couple of weeks. It's on, man. It's on, and I love it.
It's a great time of year.
It is, and I think the best game of the weekend is tomorrow night. I like the Packers at Bears, just from pure entertainment and rivalry and the whole deal. That's going to be a great game.
And maybe snow.
Maybe snow. Yes, it's definitely going to be cold. Good enough. Hey, thanks for listening to Uncanceled. Have a great weekend, everybody. The Vince Show is coming up next on KCMO.